But it's really interesting. The knowing all this Myers-Briggs, all this personality type stuff, has actually helped me be more confident in these interviews because
Absolutely.
like I know if they ask me like what are your strengths and weaknesses, I can actually answer those questions because
Right?
I know the strengths and weaknesses of my type and
And you
why.
can be honest about it and
Yeah,
consistent, and you're not BSing them.
yeah,
And then you get the job, and then they're like, I thought you said this was your strength. Or, because, like, usually before you didn't know about Myers-Briggs or whatever,
yeah,
I would assume, because some people BS during job interviews. I mean, I've always tried to be honest, but still, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I currently don't work. I do volunteer work though, which I really love, but I currently don't work because of my back. I had 2 back surgeries in the past year um, for a very rare spinal defect. I'm not sure if I was born with it or where it came about. But that's one of those things I mentioned earlier that just comes up in marriage, and you kind of have to just roll with the punches and work together as a team. My
Yeah.
husband and I we're Christians, we're a religious couple. We've been divorced, right? So it was a very difficult time. Not that we're going to get divorced over me being, on my back and surgery and all that. But what I'm saying is, it can get really hard. Or, like, for example, we had to get guardianship over my sister, my 17-year-old sister, for like 8 months. And she lived with us. Talk about really hard. I mean, so what I'm saying is these things come up in marriage, and you gotta just, roll with the punches, work it out. But anyways, I currently don't work, but I used to work as an office manager in a psychology office, a counseling office. I liked it okay. It was a very unhealthy staff. They had the worst problems. They needed counseling more than I think the clients did. So I didn't enjoy that. But before that, I was a restaurant manager, and I loved that. I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. But I had health problems, and that's why I quit. But we didn't know what they were. We didn't know why, blah, 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 blah. Now we do. But anyways,
Okay.
so I think as an INFJ, people say there's no way you're an INFJ, ENFJ. And I'm going to come out later on with a video talking with another INFJ about this. Because she has experience about this too, and she's exactly like me, very enthusiastic, very expressive, and whatnot, but will clearly have preferences for INFJ. So
Okay.
what is it that you can have 2 INFJs and there can be kind of a difference? One's reserved and a bit more reserved and one's not, right?
Mhm.
But I've had a lot of practice in my years, honestly, from my, 17, 18 to now, of just uh, service oriented, talking with people, working that my charisma. I used to hold seminars, teaching seminars. I mean, I just love teaching. So, um, I just, people forget and need to remember that E and I has nothing to do about how fluent you are
Oh
in your
yeah.
speaking skills. It's all about the energy. Because every time I have a lengthy discussion like this, or every time I hold a seminar, or every time I do my volunteer work, I'm drained. I need some time. I need some chill out time. Turn on my music, light the candles, and just do something with no talking, just to chill out. Because I'm drained. That's all. So people just forget about that. They think it's all about how well you are doing it, and that's just, anyways.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. People make that mistake all the time. They see a person who's like just really talkative and energetic. They think, oh, that's an extrovert. Yeah. It
My
kind
husband,
of
yeah.
yeah. It drives me nuts when people make those mistakes. Uh, yeah. Uh, and I saw some people make comments on your YouTube channels, like accusing you of being a
I
or
know.
or ESFJ or whatever.
I know. I know. I've gotten called so far. Okay, I've gotten called ENFJ, of course. I mean, that's the number one accusation, which is just YouTube. On Personality Cafe, I've only been just a handful, not so much, because they know I'm pretty well respected on Personality Cafe for my knowledge and for what the effort. Anyways, so far on YouTube, I've been ISTP. Yeah, I thought you'd get a kick out of that one. ISFJ, ENFJ, and there's one more. I think ISTJ. And then another. I'm just like, come on, people. What is wrong with you? Like, I think you mistyped yourself. Like, oh my gosh. Anyways. Anyways, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been mistyped. INT. I think INTP is the most common I've gotten.
Yeah.
I've gotten ISTJ, of course, and I don't think anyone's called me an INTJ. Maybe on Personality Cafe. Maybe they see my writing and they see I'm a bit more, like a lot more introspective at the end. But yeah.
And I can't stand it when people make accusations. It's just so like they're wasting their time. Because you can have speculations to yourself. That's okay about another person. But just saying accusations out loud and making it known is a different ballgame.
Yeah.
It's just it's almost nasty to me, and I don't like that.
I mean, especially if you're not asking for it. You know what your type is.
Exactly. There's a complete thread section for that. It's called "What's My Type?" You know. Anyways.
Which I've used.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I was mistyped there too.
Oh no. And I read another thing that's really interesting on the gifts differing. I'm like all about that book lately because I've been marking it up and rereading it. I reread my MBTI books about once a year. I have about a handful of them that are like credible, really good. One's by Young and Myers-Briggs. Kiersey, I'm not so much of a fan, but
a lot of people aren't.
Yeah, well, he kind of has different ideas. Even though I have checked out his books here recently, and I was kind of thumbing through them. Hence, checked out from the library, not bought. My other books, they're mine. But hey, what was my thought? Remind me. Hold on, let me retrail.
You were like people accusing each other of being different types.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. I'll get it. Hold on. I'll come back. See, I ramble, and this is what happens. Okay. Oh, here what it is. Here's what it is. Okay, so I read here recently is that, of course, when people, this is the classic, this is why people get mistyped so often, especially with INFPs and INFJs. This is what happens. There's several reasons with the INFPs and INFJs, and I don't really publicly say this a lot because I don't want INFPs to get offended by it. But with everybody in general, what happens is that, we all have access to all the functions, right?
Yeah.
Right. And we all have access to the cognitive processes and whatnot. They're all in a different order. Okay. So since they're all in that different order, that makes our type, right?
Yeah.
So we read all the profiles, and we read them all, and we go, oh yeah, that's a little bit of me, and I see a little bit of myself there, and oh yeah, I do a little bit of that there, and yeah, okay, yeah, well, yeah, okay. So we start to idealize ourselves. Sometimes we don't have a true image of ourselves, and sometimes we may be going through something, or we're just unhealthy in general, or we're depressed, we have a major depression that we need to get treated for. So whatever the reason is, we have these ideas about ourselves. And so we sometimes have this tendency, I say we, but people sometimes have this tendency to just pick the, a type that they think is them, that suits them. But clearly, their hardwiring does not match the type that they picked. You can tell in their writing style, you can tell with their answers, with their thinking. It's just obvious.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we're not going to say so, because like I said, it's not good to be overt about it, right? But so when I was reading in Gifts Differing about this, I just thought that that was so brilliant that that point was made, because yeah, we have access to it all. So with the INFPs and the INFJs, one of the reasons why INFPs choose the INFJ profile is because INFPs and with introverted feeling, they do feel very unique, because INFJs are the most unique of all the 16 types. And yes, INFPs are very rare and they are very unique, no doubt. No doubt about that. I know INFPs in real life, and I have some friends, and I enjoy them, and I think they're very individualized and unique from one another. But because they're choosing the profile and not taking into consideration the cognitive processes sometimes, and sometimes they are, but they get kind of confused because they're just taking way too much in and making it too complicated. They choose the INFJ because it's the 1%, and because they feel with the introverted feeling that they should be unique, and they want the INFJ profile to represent that uniqueness of the INFP. But if the INFP keeps going back and forth, when am I, odds are they're INFP. Because chances are with an INFJ, once they read their profile, they're home. Homecoming.
It's because the INFJ description is an attractive description. Right? It's how most people would want to see themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that, pretty much, like we were talking about INFJs on YouTube and how most of them aren't INFJs. I see a lot of them that say, like, I just, yeah. Go ahead and finish your thought.
Oh, no, I think I'm pretty done. I'm done. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was actually wondering. That's one of the things I was actually going to ask you at some point. Is about the other INFJs, the false INFJs on YouTube. How I think a lot of them are just kind of like the first time Myers-Briggs test takers.
Yeah.
And I've actually, okay. You've probably seen a lot of this. You've probably seen a lot of YouTube videos that go something like this. Hey guys, what's up? I just took this Myers-Briggs test.
Whatever it's called.
And, I got my result, and it was, hold on, INFJ.
Yeah.
And I read the description of an INFJ personality type, and I was amazed at how accurate it was.
Yeah.
And then they go on to describe how they, like how it describes them, and you realize all they're talking about is introversion.
Yeah, right. and see, for the true INFJ, and when they read their profile for the first time, it's more of a spiritual and more of an intimate thing with themselves. They're not going to make it public. They're not going to make it, because what happens with an INFJ through their entire lives, okay, it's not that whole I'm misunderstood, but it's the whole I don't belong here in the world. Like, why am I so different? And why doesn't everybody? It's just this pain, this sort of pain, like I don't belong. What's going on? And why do I not necessarily agree with what's going on? Or why do not people agree with my values? There's kind of this confliction almost, okay? And because of the extroverted feeling, we want to harmonize with our surroundings, right? And it's hard. So that's not just all the things, but that's one of the aspects of an INFJ. So with the INFJ, reading their profile for the first time, there's this validation. And this validation process that takes place, it's very emotional. It's acceptance. It's letting you know that you're normal and that it's okay to be you and that it's okay to be unique. You don't have to fit into society and you're okay. You can contribute to the world in being you as an INFJ. That's all. So these people on YouTube, you know, ridiculous things like that, or even on, you know, the forums, you know, I kind of stay out of the INFJ forums just kind of for that reason. I kind of do my own thing. Sometimes you don't really see me in the forums commenting that often. If you ever just look at my posts it's kind of hard to find me. I'm a bit of a recluse. I absorb more than I put out.
Okay.
That's just me. But I noticed about a year ago, I was just like, there's more INFPs on this thread than there are INFJs. But there are some INFJs on there that I know, they're INFJs, I recognize them, yes. And then,
are you talking about people who claim to be INFJs? Okay.
Yeah. But you know, I have an INFJ best friend in real life, and that's all I need. I'm good. I don't need to go in the INFJ thread, and I'm blessed for that. She's my kindred spirit. I saw her immediately, and I'm very blessed to have her. She's my mirror. You know, when I'm going through something or she's going through something, we get that validation in real life, and it's tangible. And not every INFJ gets that. I think every type should get that. You know, ENTPs or INTJs or ISTPs or, you know, whatever type it is, I think they should be able to have that close friend of their own type to get that validation, to mirror off of each other, to say, yeah, dude, that's normal, you know, but that's okay, I do that too, or, you know, because online, it's a little bit more, it's not as validating as you would hope it to be. Because that person, you don't know that person as well, and it's not in real life. There's not that connection. You know what I mean?
Well, I think for some types,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I suspect some types might have a need for that more than others.
Absolutely. I'm just talking about validation source.
Yeah.
I'm talking about friendships. I don't care what type you are. Human beings need connections, or the forums wouldn't exist. Period.
Yeah.
You need connections for all sorts of reasons, and if you can have some in real life, even better. Now, if you can make those connections on the forums and build upon that, and then have them in real life more personally, great. I'm not against that whatsoever. Okay, but I'm just saying, if you can find someone, at least of your own type, that's healthy to mirror off of, there's a great sense of just all sorts of things that take place, I think, between the two people. They can help each other grow in a lot of ways, I think. Just, my INFJ best friend, she just wasn't very in touch with her extroverted feeling at all. She was very behind. And she was stuck in an S world, and she was very sad. She was just the most saddest INFJ I've ever met in my life. And now she's just, not because of me, but she's more comfortable in her skin and just glowing, and she's so happy. And I'm so happy to have seen her grow and take part of it. And I'm just saying, it's so neat to be able to be friends with someone with your own type. It's like you're in their mind, and they're in your mind. And sometimes it's nice and sometimes it's not. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not something that I can really personally... I can't really personally relate to that, I guess. Well, because I don't really know any other ISTPs.
Right.
I mean, I suspect my dad is one, but I don't relate to him on that level.
Right, that's your dad.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I guess even on the forum, on the ISTP forum, I see these people like I don't necessarily relate to some of the things they talk about, just because we have different values and there are different stages of life. A lot of them are like, they're teenagers and still
Oh
like
yeah,
they're just
yeah.
complaining about their parents and
Don't even get me started on that. I mean, I've never. Maybe it's a good thing that's okay. Now, you want to know my opinion? Here's my opinion.
okay,
In teenagers, their frontal lobe isn't fully developed. Okay,
yeah,
so necessarily the T and the F, it's really not necessarily fully developed where it's decidedly so because of that. Because what is T and the F involved in? Making decisions based on people and facts and whatever. That involves your frontal lobe.
yeah,
Hello. I mean, if it is not fully developed as a teenager, you're not going to get that until you're an adult. So I don't necessarily agree with teenagers being so actively on a forum because it's almost just another way for them to have a support group, which maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I'm not seeing it in the best of light. Sorry, teenagers, if you get offended me at saying all of this. I really apologize. My sister's an ENFJ 17-year-old, okay? I apologize. I'm just, I have strong opinions.
they use it, they get what they're getting out of it, and I'm on there and they're in a totally different world from
Oh,
me, and
yeah. Oh, yeah. Every teenager is. It's all about center focused. Teenagers, everything that comes out of a teenager's mouth is me and I.
yeah, and we've all been there. We know what it's like, and
Oh,
it's like,
yeah. Guilty
well,
as charged.
well, you know, I guess, but on top of that, it's like, I don't remember thinking the same things that they're thinking now. So, like,
It's hard for you to put yourself in their shoes.
yeah, I mean, a lot of times, usually if I'm hearing things that, say, college students or people who are just getting, first getting out in the real world, I could say like, oh yeah, I've been there. I remember, it's still fresh in my mind. But yeah, the teenagers that are on the forum today, it's like, oh, I never went through that.
And
So,
that's true. There are new elements to society and just to their generations that necessarily were not as bad in your time or my parents' time or their parents' time
yeah,
or didn't exist. Like, bullyism. What's that term that they now have for it? Like being gay and bullying and cyberbullying. Like there's so many elements now that didn't exist
yeah,
that are a problem that people are teenagers are committing suicide on. Okay, so maybe it's a great outlet for them to feel accepted. But what I'm coming from the angle of is, you know, teenagers cannot be accurately typed. I
yeah,
mean, there should be like almost I'm an IN blank J because the T and the F just really cannot be accurate enough as a teenager because you're so hormonal and your frontal lobe just isn't developed. It's a scientific fact. It's Myers-Briggs and Young have it in their studies. Come on.
mm.
Anyways, that's more of the thinker side coming out of me.
Well, I think it's there's all kinds of different factors. Like the environment they grew up in, what their values are. Just relate. For me to relate to another ISTP, it would have to be somebody else who's been through similar things that I've been through, um,
Right.
and see the world the same way that I do. Um, you know, they just a simple topic like how important is Facebook to you, and
Yeah.
are you on Facebook or are you not? I don't know. I use it. It's like my way as an introvert to connect with my friends. Um, because it's an easier mode of communication. I can just like say whatever I want to say, and then whoever
Uh-huh.
can comment, and I can see what other people are doing. I don't necessarily have to interact with them if I don't
Right.
want to. But for and I thought, well, maybe maybe it's similar for other ISTPs. Well, most of the ISTPs on the forum are saying, no, I quit Facebook. I don't want that interaction, and I don't want these people. I don't care what's going on in people's lives. Like, okay, so you're just going to be a total recluse and just live your own life and not have any friends and no connections with the real world. Okay, well, good luck with that.
Right, right. Yeah, values for sure. Values, values, values. And especially, yeah, with FE and FI, it's all about values and shaping that person. And I think, like my ISTP friend, she doesn't have Facebook, and she's a complete recluse. I mean, and I only see her about once a month.
Okay.
So, I mean, and we live in the same city. I mean, it's just kind of, but we're really good friends. I love her. We're best, we're close. I've known her for years. It's just, I don't know. Values, yeah. I don't know what was going on. I tried to pull it off, but it just failed. That was a good fail.
What?
I said I didn't know where I was going with that, and it was a fail. It was like just like I was just like trailing off, like.
Oh, it was relevant. You're talking about your ISTP, right? Yeah, it's Some of them I just don't understand at all, even if they're the same type.
Yeah.
But well, let's see.
Well. What time are we running up on? I think we're running up on an hour and a half.
It's been more than an hour. I know it doesn't show me exactly, but yeah. So probably we'll just go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions you wanted to ask?
No, and if you ask me another question, I'll just ramble and ramble and ramble. So we can just wrap it up.
Yeah.
I mean, did you get an accurate comparison, and did you get all your questions answered?
Oh yeah, I mean it was I didn't really have like any sort of structured set of questions that I wanted to ask. I just kind of wanted to just kind of go with the flow, hopefully get some kind of dialogue going, and that's what happened. And
absolutely.
I really enjoyed this talk, and I'm glad you agreed to have
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for the talk, and
thanks for cooperating with me and our schedules, and I'm glad it finally worked out, and now it worked out just in time for your new job.
Yeah. So we kept going. Yeah, just for those who were watching, we kind of kept going back and forth, and with my uncertain interview schedule, and it's like now that I've been offered a job, now I can finally say, okay, no more interviews. My job doesn't start for another week and a half. I got all this free time between now and then, so I'm glad it finally worked out. So
yeah.
Well, yeah. Thanks, Renna. It's really good talking to you.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
So I'll catch you on the Personality Cafe forum, and
for sure.
Yeah.
You know where my wall's at. All right. Bye, man.
All right. Good talking to you. Bye.